Wow. Welcome back to Casual Bias Rugby. This is the official match review between South Africa and England. Of course, South Africa coming out victors 16-15 and progressing to the final of the Rugby World Cup. And most people would say the better team lost yesterday. And I wouldn't disagree to extreme levels with you, if I could say it like that. It was a emotional game. It wasn't necessarily your most flary game, but it was an emotional game. We were into it emotionally. You could have had tears. There was tears of joy. It had everything. But I mean, it's hard to break down a game like this because there was no backline moves. I don't think either team had one backline move that they played yesterday, and that was because of the weather, obviously. I've given England so much grief in the past week in the lead up to this game, and they almost made me eat my words. I kind of still have to eat my words because that's how good they were, and that's how bad we were. I truly believe this was one of the worst Bok performances that you will ever see. Does that tell you a lot that England were good and the Boks were horrible and still came out victors? I mean, read into it what you want, but I mean, yeah, it was a crazy game. We went absolutely crazy yesterday. I had to make this video because yesterday's reaction was just pure out of emotion. We hardly spoke about the game. We just literally ran riot. But just a couple of things to talk about. I think we'll just talk about some of the big parts of the game, because Owen Farrell, Alex Mitchell, Freddie Stewart. Wow. And Ben Earl, you could throw him in there as well. Alex Mitchell just put every single up and under on the dot, and caused absolute chaos for us at the back. The height difference between Freddie Stewart and Johnny May and Elliot Daly running onto those high balls compared to Cheslin Colby, Kurtley Arendse, it just caused absolute chaos. We didn't know how to handle those balls whatsoever. Mario Itoje just got back into his groove of 2019. He was absolutely immense. We couldn't get a line out to save our life. It was just a shambles. And when we won our own line out, we couldn't get a ball functioning. It just felt like England had answers for everything throughout the game until the final 10-15 minutes. But I have to give props to the England players first before I go into our boys, because that was crazy. I mean, Joe Marler and Dan Cole especially, just showed that age is just a number. Same thing that I always say about Dion Fourie. Absolutely immense. We couldn't get a scrum advantage to save our life. I really thought we would have had the upper hand when it comes to the scrum in the first half, and then they'll bring on their boys from the bench and we'll bring out our boys from the bench, and then it will be a bit more even, because those are the guys that I would think usually starts for England. Carl Sinclair and Ellis Genge. Turned out not to be, because when our boys came from the bench and their boys came from the bench, it totally flipped. Oxenshire had an absolute field day in the scrums. But yeah, well done to England. Credit to them for putting up a performance like that. Owen Farrell, geez, he showed some balls yesterday. That drop goal was insane. Like, we all expected drop goals before the game, but it was so unexpected. It came out of nowhere. 45 meters, slots it comfortably. And he just dominated the game. His high balls were on the spot. He had cross kicks going on the spot. Those grubbers. It just caused absolute chaos. He's kicking from the tee. Never looked like missing a kick. It's just everything was good for England. It's a pity that they just didn't win. I'm not even saying this trying to be cocky or anything. It's just it has to be a tough pill to swallow. Moving on to the Boks, and I truly believe we played horrible. But we take the win. We purely won on passion at the end, just wanting it. I think Kitsov and Malherbe, as I already said, struggled. They struggled yesterday. They struggled against France. They struggled yesterday. And I didn't even think I would say this. I really thought, especially Kitsy, would want to come out firing off these performance against France, try to be way better. And he just couldn't get it right yesterday. Now, of course, the weather plays a massive part in a game like yesterday. Of course, South Africa not too familiar with playing in these rainy conditions. England, they love these. These are day in, day out conditions for England. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse or anything. I just think it played a massive role when it came to the game yesterday. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw Eben and Sia getting subbed so early. I think it was 45 minutes. I saw Ergie coming. I saw Ergie on the touchline, and it was like, okay, who's he coming on? Surely it's going to be Sous, Franco Mostert. Bro, he came on for Eben Etzebeth, and then Sia Kolisi goes off for Dion Fourie. You're just thinking, well, there goes all the leadership in the team just evaporates off of the field. Of course, that means Bongi Manami becomes captain, who truly struggled with his lineouts. It's just, I don't know. At least he didn't have a throw like Jamie George did, because that was one for the books. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the team now, and there's no real standout players for us, really. Oh, it's bad for Manie Lebok. I think at least Nienaber came out and said, listen, it's an honest team. You can admit when someone's not at the races. They can be taken off, even if it's in the first half. I don't think that does too much for his confidence, or it doesn't do any good for his confidence, as I should rather say. But Andre Pollard came on, showed absolute class. Guy was immense. Just totally flipped the script a bit. We had to switch the game plan. The game plan wasn't working. Plan A wasn't working. We had to switch to plan B. But Nienaber came out and said, listen, they did it in 2018 with Bongi. I had to sub him off in the first half because he just wasn't firing that day to bring on Malcolm Marx. And if Manie can look at the positive side and say, listen, I wasn't at the races, but I'll be there next weekend, then it's all good. If you take it at face value, it doesn't look good. Okay. Otherwise, it's tough to speak about the backline for us. Kobus Reinach, Cheslin Colby, Damien de Linde, Jesse Creel, Kurtley Arendse, Damian Willemse. It was kind of just a forward packs game. So you can't really say anything about the boys. The only people you could really talk about is the kickers and the forwards. And Ergie Snyman, once again, just absolutely brilliant. He just comes on and makes a difference, always. But the big man that I want to talk about is Oxenche. Because I've been saying this for a very long time, that every time he scrums against someone, he makes them see the inside of their asshole. And he did it again yesterday. The difference that Oxenche makes, and he's still got a couple of years left in him, which is absolutely brilliant. He was the difference maker yesterday. Without him, we don't win that game. Winning those scrum penalties in our 22, getting it to the line out, from the line out, moving, somehow getting another scrum or whatever, getting us in range with the shot at goal. He was just absolutely brilliant. I have no words to describe it. Of course, Kwagga Smith and everything. I'm just going to end the video because I'm just rambling at the moment. But an absolutely emotional game, an emotional roller coaster. Credit to England for fighting until the end. And well done to our boys. Backed you from the start. And now we move on to the final where we take on New Zealand. It's a big week leading up to the final. It's the biggest game in rugby. South Africa versus the All Blacks next weekend. Boy oh boy, I'm excited. Tomorrow we're starting getting into the previews for that game. The bit of the build up, bit of hype. See you next time. Thank you.